Good morning, self. I'm just over here working on my own therapy. Conversations with self and soul. Oh, good Lord. No idea what I'm going to talk about yet. Last one was got into speaking about, attempting to speak about the pain that we carry and the fact that we don't do it, Still going through my awakening, so I'm up, down, sideways. Depends on the moment. Probably turn this on. Can you hear me now? To on a positive note, I'm laughing. It's been years, so that's good. I'd like the courage to talk about my story, but it's a difficult one. I don't think I'm the only one. I know I'm not the only one. Things I've been through, sadly, many people have, and as a society, we've gotten comfortable with not really speaking about it. I mean, you can go to therapy and spend a bunch of money, and then after an hour, they can be like, okay, next. And, so that doesn't help. It's not funny, sorry. I studied and researched a lot for like the last over a year, really, trying to find my own form of healing, right? Like back in the Roman and Greek days, that's what they would do. They would take a patient and they would put them in a room and allow them to come up with their own form of healing. They could sit there for weeks in a dark room and really get lost in their own mind trying to figure out, how do I heal? And I tried all the conventional ways, the medications and the therapy and, just all of that, and it didn't work. So it was like something stepped in. It was like, sit, meditate, and figure it out, So I studied for a while, and then I sat in meditation for a long time, a very, very long time, for like months on end. And I'm finding ways to heal that I'd like to start working on. It's difficult because I don't yet have anybody to really assist me with it, so I'm trying to do a lot of it on my own. I went through a lot of loss in a very short period of time, and there's all the people that really have my six, like the people I chose to love in life that I met and was like, that's part of my soul tribe. And it was like in just a few short years they were gone. And those are the people that would show up when I'd get down and be like, come on, we're not doing this, get up, get going. And I don't, they're in the heavens now. So, I mean, I have them, they're always around, and I'm really trying to learn how to commune with my angels better, and to hear them. So I think too that was part of why it was so important for me to just sit and to know thyself, to heal thyself, to love thyself, right? The hardest thing somebody can do. I've been through so much in my life, and to actually sit with the pain and go through it without looking for any kind of way to suppress or to numb. Um, truly been one of the hardest things I've ever done. And I'm proud of myself, I'm getting through it, and I realize that I've changed. That's the other part of kind of going through the whole awakening process and having to face yourself and really go through the emotions and the pain, right? We do everything that we can to try and avoid that. Toxic relationships or medications or going out and drinking all the time and or getting high or whatever it is, and I did that for years until I couldn't. I was so tired. What's the saying? The pain. Something along the lines like the pain of the change needs to hurt less than the pain of staying the same, right? To finally kind of take those steps. And that's the point that I got to, I feel. And I'm trying desperately to get through this so that hopefully one day I can turn around and assist others in doing it, right? And how to get through this process. And I'm scribbling because it, I don't know, I'm hoping it helps me to kind of flow and to channel, and learning to work with spirit now, something that's available to everybody. And I think it's a beautiful thing. I recognize how important that relationship is now. I felt so disconnected for so long, going through grief and just feeling felt lost. I felt very, very lost. Yeah, like Spirit's really trying to help me get through this too, I tried so many other ways to heal, or to at least not get through this, and I had to go. I was in a hospital for months even, and court ordered to be there, as a matter of fact. And the day that I got out to get my discharge paperwork, they had asked me why I was there. And it baffles me, and it was never followed up on or anything, and and that's sad. You recognize, like, even for myself, I was there for a broken heart, and like I recognize, like, they try, right? They're doing the best that they can. There's so many people that need healing, and I feel like that too is why it was important for me to really sit and get through this process, so that I can potentially help people find another way. There's so many things that people don't recognize or notice that are healing. and like true healing, like they speak about meditation and stuff like that, and it's difficult to do that, to find the time and to really be able to turn off the noise long enough, you know. But after doing so much studying and researching, and you know, you go into a doctor's office, and before they'll prescribe things like sound bowls or oxygen therapy or IV vitamin therapy, they'll just, here's some pills, you know. And it's like they don't even offer those things yet as like an idea. Maybe some places do, and I just haven't been to any of them. Would That's, you know, more than possible. I just, going in and out of these hospitals where they make so much money off the people that are there, and so quick to, you know, put you on meds and pills, and some of those things they work, you know. But when they have like things like black box listed medications like mood stabilizers that technically should be illegal, before they'll even offer microdosing, it's things like that where it was like I finally had to kind of disconnect from everything and really sit with myself and get to know myself and be like, what actually works, you know. And that's what I've been working on, and going through the whole awakening process too. And as when you recognize that there is a path to actually healing rather than suppressing, it's pretty beautiful. And it's something I've been working on for months now, and really seeking people that can see from a different perspective and help to work on this. I recognize that there's a lot of people going through these awakenings these days simply because society as a whole, we've been hurting for so long, that it's like these awakenings are happening now for people where it's almost Spirit will redirect every now and then. And you recognize that, like, Source itself, the universe, was created by sound and vibration. You know, you really got to look at healing from that perspective rather than suppression or numbing, going the route of using sound and vibration and frequency to truly heal the vessels and calm the psyche, or, you know, aka the spirit, you know, and essentially set the soul free. You know, there's a way to do it, and there's more to. I recognize, like, most people don't even know to look into stuff like that, right? And that's where, like, I feel like I was blessed with this opportunity where I got the opportunity to sit long enough to know myself. And while I was going through it, it didn't look very pretty. You know, I had a company, and then all of a sudden I was losing everything, and I couldn't see a light at the end of the tunnel, and I felt like that was it, you know. And then I realized that I was gifted the opportunity to really sit with myself after having all my things stripped from me, almost all my things. I have a roof over my head, and I feel blessed for that. But I look at it now, and I see that I had the opportunity to study and to research and to be able to sit with myself long enough to truly know myself and to heal on this soul kind of level, you know. And I can see the blessing in it now, and going through it, it was I look forward to the day where this is things like that truly healing is spoken about on a more wide platform, you know. Like, it would be nice for doctors to have an incentive to be like, here's a list of, go do light therapy and sound bowl therapy and oxygen therapy and, plasma therapy and energy healing, and at least offer that. Like, it'd be great if there was an incentive for that rather than, and that's the sad part, is that these things are available, but most people don't even know, they don't even recognize that these things work. For some, like, it's a choice to go that path, and it's something I'm working on. It takes longer, but it's because it's healing and not suppression and just get going again. It's healing, and it's difficult and it's hard, but also worth it. You start to see the world differently. When the wind blows, you see the trees dance. You can appreciate the way that a bird flaps its wings. Just small things that you start to see and to look at and be like, that's so beautiful. I'm recognizing too that there's many people as well that don't, things like shamanism, right? That people have never even heard of. Or carrying stones and the way that they can amplify frequency. They have the ability to heal. And people don't even recognize it. Water has the ability to heal salt, oxygen. Right? And it sounds so simple. However, it also involves sitting to know thyself and actually go through the pain and be able to transmute pain into purpose. And it's something I'm trying desperately to get to right now and to do for myself. Right? And I think too, recognizing kind of like, what happened? Why is so much healing even needed? And I got one heck of a story. I've been trying to write that. And a lot of wounding. And I prefer not to speak about it so much. Maybe I'm just not ready to speak about it. I feel I want to work on getting, discussing or speaking about the healing that's possible first, and then eventually speaking to let out the pain and, saying this is what I've been through and this is why I had to sit with myself and to finally heal. And it's a little difficult for me, I guess, to speak, even like just with self, right? Conversations with self and soul. Going through the awakening process, and I discussed in the, last video I did, episode 1 of, self-therapy. Well, no, I mean, it's not episode 1, but never mind. This might get weird sometimes, because, conversations with self. But who better to have a conversation with than yourself, right? Especially when you're trying to heal. I mean, who knows you better than you, And technically it's a sign of intelligence, so they say. So that's good. I'm staring at my vision board at the moment. It's pretty beautiful. No question, like, I want to show it to somebody that would get it, and I'm like, it requires a little bit of research and study and having an open mind to, But it's things like the sound bowls and the shamanism and the light therapy and the oxygen therapy and charcoal detoxes and plasma therapy and acupuncture and plant medicine and getting back to nature, scent therapy, salt baths, saunas, sage, herbal remedies, going camping, going hiking. Kundalini, balancing the chakras, sacred movement, Tai Chi, animal training, animal therapy. There's a lot of people don't even know what Kundalini is. I didn't know what it was until it shocked my system. I mean, essentially that's what it does. And I didn't even know what the word was at the time. It was like I was sleeping and then I wasn't. I was in a place where I feel that a higher power was like, I gotta do something, because something helped, And it was really difficult going through it, because I didn't understand yet what was happening, I didn't know what Kundalini was. And then I tried reaching out to some people, and I'm like, what happens when you have a spontaneous Kundalini awakening? And some were like, well, it's like this. And others were like, oh, that doesn't happen. And I was like, yeah, it does. And I would like to assist people that are going through the awakening process to recognize, like, what's even happening to them, because I did not know what I was going through when it started, that's what led me to, like, you gotta study and learn and research, and how cool it is that I had the opportunity to do that. Like, I'm so grateful for that. And I feel like that's where so many of us get lost, right? You're told one thing, like, this is the way it is, and we all, and not because anybody was wrong. I feel it just that was the limit of the human mind at the moment, right? Just told this is the way you do it, and this is the way it is, and everybody's like, okay. Not everybody. Sorry, that wasn't the right way to say that. Please forgive me. When you start to awaken, you realize that you earn some spiritual inheritance. It's interesting. But then you recognize too that when you start to earn that spiritual inheritance, that part of your calling is to share those gifts with the world. And that's something that I've been working on. I've been a little hesitant with it. With great wisdom comes great responsibility. With great gifts comes great responsibility, and carrying that weight initially going through this awakening was a little intimidating, and I'm working on building the courage and the strength to be able to share. You're not given us gifts just to put them to the side and to squander them. So I don't want to do that. But when you earn the gifts, you realize that you have a calling, but also until when I start channeling, it becomes pretty obvious, and I'm still working on it. So please have patience with yourself. So. Making doodles. It helps me focus. trying to learn to be guided by the Spirit. Again, right, that's something that I feel many of us got distracted from or forgot how to do. It's like we come from Spirit, we go back to Spirit. Try to remember to be guided by it while you're here rather than by the noise, by society, by what anyone else tells you that you're supposed to be or how you're supposed to be. It's learning to follow the divine guidance again and to move with the pull of the soul. And to be able to recognize too, like, how do you know if it's the pull of the soul or one different neural networks? The seat of the soul, which is the heart, has a completely different neural network from the rest of the body, which is what I feel is the difference between the physical and then the spiritual. It's not correct how to say that. The pull of the soul and the pull of the mind. Because the mind, that's more of the spiritual side to psyche. How do you heal the psyche or the spirit if you don't acknowledge that they're intertwined? For lack of a better term, they're the same thing. Difference between the